No one ever loses money in casinos. In their head, they aren't down 500. They're just 5 minutes away from being up 1,000. The house has spent billions designing the perfect environment to get you to believe this lie. It's a world where you can lose $1,000, win back 100, and walk away with a smile on your face. Let's take a tour inside the mind of a gambler to expose the hidden tactics the house uses to make you love losing money. It's the first Saturday of the month. You have just been paid. You look at the paycheck, and instead of thinking, "This is mine," your brain shifts to, "This could be more."
You're not walking into a casino to spend money. You're walking in to multiply it.
You step inside with $1,000. Immediately, the outside world disappears. No windows, no clocks, no sense of time passing. It's not an accident, it's control. If you don't know how long you've been here, you don't know how long you've been losing. Then, something starts to feel off. You try to get your bearings, but the layout doesn't cooperate. There aren't many clean, straight paths. No obvious exits. No simple walk in, walk out route. Instead, everything curves, opens, narrows, then leads you to somewhere else. You don't make sharp 90-degree turns and leave. You drift. That's intentional. You're not being forced to stay, you're just never quite got it out. And while you're figuring out where to go, you keep walking past games. The lighting hits next. Warm, soft, almost golden. It's not just there to look nice. It changes how you feel. You're more relaxed, less alert, less analytical. It lowers your guard before you even make a decision. Then the floor. Thick carpet, detailed patterns, slightly disorienting if you actually focus on them. Not enough to notice consciously, but enough to keep your brain from settling. Everything around you feels expensive, and that's deliberate. Because when a place feels expensive, spending money there feels normal. Expected even. You don't question it, you match it. That's the first shift. Not in your wallet, but in your mindset. You take a few steps deeper, and then you see it. A massive display of winners. Screens, photos, names, amounts. People holding checks for tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, smiling like they just cracked the system. Your brain doesn't ask how many people lost for that one person to win. It just asks one thing. Why not me? That's the hook. Not logic, possibility. You keep walking, and then you hear it. Coins dropping, machines going off. That constant cascade of winning sounds all around you. It's overwhelming at first, but quickly it starts to feel normal. Like winning is happening everywhere, but those sounds aren't reality. They're engineered. Your brain doesn't track the math, it tracks the noise, and the noise says people are winning. You glance up at the screens. Chips, ads, stylized versions of gambling, confidence, big wins, perfect timing. You walk past rows of machines. People locked in, focused, some celebrating, some expressionless, some just continuing. No one looks like they're losing, even the ones who are. Because losing here doesn't look like failure. It looks like part of the process. The moment you stop seeing this as a place where people lose money and start seeing it as a place where winning is just a matter of time, you still haven't placed a single bet, but mentally, you're already in. You walk up to the cashier and slide your bills across the counter. In exchange, you get chips. Same value, same total, but it doesn't feel the same. Because it isn't money anymore. Not really. It's lighter, abstract, easier to move, easier to stack, easier to lose. You still know it represents money, but you don't feel what it represents. You're no longer spending, you're playing. You head towards the roulette table. The dealer greets you like he's seen you before. Maybe he has, Maybe he hasn't. It doesn't really matter. It feels familiar, comfortable, like you belong here. You glance at the board. Black, 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 black. 6 times in a row. You pause. This can't keep happening, right? Red is due. It has to be. You stack $300 in chips and slide it onto red. The dealer spins the wheel. The ball bounces, circles, slows. For a moment, everything else fades. Then, red. You feel it instantly. Not just relief, validation. You didn't guess, you read it. The dealer pushes your winnings towards you. And just like that, something locks in your mind. You aren't just another player. You saw something others didn't. That's the illusion. Not luck, control. This is called gambler's fallacy. It's when you believe that independent past outcomes have an effect on present ones. Like believing that because a wheel landed on the number 1 twice in a row, it is less likely to land on it again. And when you believe you can control the outcome of an event, you are more likely to keep doing it. You stack your chips again, a little faster this time. $400 now. Because this isn't random anymore. This is momentum. A streak. Your streak. The wheel spins again. The ball drops. Black. You lose. But it doesn't register as failure. Your brain already has an explanation. That was just a miss. So you bet again. You're not chasing. You're correcting. Another spin. Another loss. Maybe roulette just isn't it right now. Maybe your luck is somewhere else. You gather what's left of your chips and you move on. You walk up to the cashier and slide your chips back across the counter. They turn back into cash. For a moment, the weight of it comes back. This is real money again. But not for long. You head to the slot machines. You feed the bills in. Now it's not dollars. It's credits. Numbers on a screen. And once it's credits, the connection weakens. You're not thinking, I just spent $5. You're thinking, spin. You press the button. $5. Spin. You win. Small, but immediate. You press again. $10. Another win. Now something starts building. Not profit, momentum. You increase it. $50. The reels spin. 2 sevens line up. The third just barely misses. You didn't win, but it doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like you almost broke through. And your brain treats that almost as something meaningful. Like progress, like you're getting closer. But you're not. That spin was no closer to winning than any other. It just looked like it was. Slot machines are engineered to drastically increase the odds of a near win. You keep going. Win $10. Lose $50. Win $20. Lose $100. But the wins stand out. They stick. They reset how you feel. Even when you're down overall, it doesn't register the same way. Because you're still being rewarded. Still getting flashes of success. And that's enough to keep you in. At a neurological level, this isn't very different from drug use. The reward system in your brain, causing dopamine spikes, is being triggered over and over again. And the uncertainty is what makes it powerful. Not knowing when the reward comes actually reinforces the behavior more than consistent wins would. Pair this with a sense of moderate control, and you have a recipe for addiction. If you want to be consistently rewarded with simply explained financial and psychological content, subscribe. You tell yourself something simple. If I keep spinning, I'll hit it. Eventually. But that's the trap. Because eventually has no limit. After a stretch of small wins, it starts to feel real. Like you've figured something out again. So you go bigger. One spin. $500. This is it. The real spin. You're not thinking about the money you've already put in anymore. You're focused on what could line up next. Each flicker of the symbols isn't just motion, it's possibility. The real slow down, line up, and stop just short. Another near win. Close enough to feel painful. Close enough to feel possible. You sit there for a second. You could keep going. You decide to call it for the night. Before you leave, you remember the loyalty perks. A free dinner. You sit down, eat, take it in. It feels like you got something back, like the night wasn't a loss. You think, that meal alone is worth something. The casino knows exactly how much you lost. And because of that, they give a little back. $75. Just enough to matter in your head, but not enough to change anything. But it is enough to keep the relationship intact. You're not a customer who lost money. You're a valued player. On your way out, you see it. Someone sitting at the same slot you were just playing. They press spin. $50. The reels hit. Jackpot. $10,000. Right there on your machine. The one you just left. And suddenly, everything rewrites itself. That could have been me. That should have been me. The losses don't feel like losses anymore. They feel like missed timing. So you turn around. Because now, you're not chasing money. You're chasing what almost happened. And this time, you come back with another $1,000. Money that wasn't meant for this. But it doesn't feel like rent anymore. It feels like another chance. If you want to learn about a group that actually knows how to spend their money, watch my video. Berkshire Hathaway, the $1 trillion company that sells nothing.